share your location with me. It seems like a reasonable request, particularly when 40% of US adults already share their location with at least one person. Location sharing has become normalized, but does that really make it normal? Should we always know the exact location of our partners or loved ones? When does location tracking turn into surveillance? And how can it be used in an abusive relationship? This is Unsilenced, a JBWS podcast where we have real conversations about abuse. I'm MC Robinson, and today I'm speaking with JBWS staff member Mary Jane McCarthy all about location sharing. Mary Jane is going to explore if location sharing can ever be done in a healthy way. She tells you some signs that your partner wants your location as a means of control, and how easily location sharing can actually end up leading to stalking. We touch upon the expectation to share your location, how difficult it is to stop sharing your location with another person, and so much more. We have a really great discussion for you today, but before you listen, please take a moment to subscribe to Unsilenced wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps us to break the silence surrounding domestic violence. All right, well, before we get into this topic, I think it's like really important if we could just define what location sharing might look like the different devices you could have someone's location on, like just kind of an overview of what location sharing even is.
There's a couple of different things with location sharing. Some is I give you permission to
Hmm.
track me, right? So there's in Apple, there's Find My Friends or Find My Phone, Find My Friends. For Android users, the primary tracking thing is Life 360.
Hmm.
And then for people who have Androids and Apples, right, Life 360 works as well. So
Yeah.
those are the main programs. And that's when I say you can see where I'm located at.
Yeah.
Then there are programs that we're not always aware that they're tracking us. So
Hmm.
things like Snapchat, right?
Hmm.
Snapchat uses a location. And unless you go into the settings and turn that off, someone can use Snapchat. If they're friends with you on Snapchat, they can be able to see where your location is. Same thing with Instagram and Facebook now. You have the ability. Now those are not hidden. You have to
Right.
say, like tag my location, but it has the ability to put the location of where you're taking the picture.
Hmm.
Most of our phones nowadays in the picture description, if you take a picture
Yep.
and you swipe up on that picture, you're looking at the picture, you swipe up, you can see the location where that picture was taken,
Yep.
right? So if somebody has access to your Apple photos
Hmm.
or your Google photo, right? You may not have shared location with
Hmm.
them, but if they have access to that original information that's on the photo, they can look at it and see where that photo was taken. Right.
Hmm.
So if I'm just thinking like putting this out with domestic violence, if I'm at the safe house,
Right.
right, and I take a picture of my kid, now I've removed my partner from all different locating devices, but maybe we still share pictures.
Right. Right.
They can then look at that metadata on the photo and see where that picture was taken. AirPods have a locator. So
Hmm.
if I want to track you, I forget my AirPods in your car. So there's a lot of new devices that are coming out, which are great. Like if you're a person like me, I tend to leave my watch somewhere and not know where it is, right? Or I put my phone down and then I can't find it, right? And it
Hmm.
has my watch has Find My Phone.
Right.
So they're helpful, but in the wrong hands or if we're not aware of it, it can also be used for tracking.
It's interesting because I think this has become like a lot of discourse online. You see it about like, is it a red flag if your
Mhm.
partner asks you to share your location with them?
From what we're seeing and the conversations that I have with people about this, it's a mixed bag, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it goes down to how long have we been in this relationship?
Hmm.
What level are we at in the relationship? Our age. Age really does matter here.
Hmm.
And then what is our intention behind having it?
Hmm.
Right. And then how how are we using it going forward in the relationship? Age I bring up because I talk with a lot of teens, right? We're in the schools, we're talking to teens about abuse and everything. Teens are using this all the time. And so then we ask the question, well, why are you using it? What is the reason you want to have it? Well, for safety. Okay. As a teenager, should you really be the one who is there for the other person
Yeah.
in a time of safety,
Right.
right? And no, that's not your responsibility as a teenager. And really, as a teenager, how much are you going to be able to do? Right. I
Hmm.
love it when freshmen in high school tell me they're using tracking on their partner for safety. I'm like, you
Yeah.
can't even drive, right? Like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
What is their
That is it.
response? Like, what is their logic? Like, do they think that just like keeping an eye on them is somehow keeping them safe?
And that's what they think. They think that keeping an eye. And so that's really the job of the parents of
Yeah.
because then I ask, right? Like who does have tracking on you for safety?
Hmm.
Right? And I get parents,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because parents are guardian, right? Because that's who does, and that's who should
Yeah.
be in charge of our safety at that age. But I think there's this thought that the parent is constantly watching them. And as parents, our role is to show, okay, yes, I have tracking on you, but I'm not checking it all the time. And when I check it, I have a reason to check it,
Hmm.
right? So my reason could be as a parent, I've called you 3 or 4 times, you haven't answered, right? You were supposed to be at your friend's house and then coming home. I'm going to check to see where you are. It's not just as a parent, I'm sitting there the whole time you're gone. Where are they at? Where are they at now? Where are they at now? Right. And we want to make sure that we're communicating that to the teens, right? Because we're kind of demonstrating the behavior.
Right. Because if
Um,
your parent is constantly doing that to you and being like, you went to the 7-Eleven and then you went down this street and now you're here, you're going to think it's normal for you to do that to your partner or your
and
friend.
it's normal, right?
Yeah.
And then if we have it as parents, right, if we have it on our partners and we're doing that with them, what is that teaching that teen?
It's a really good point.
Right? We don't want to be constantly checking it.
Right.
Right? When we're constantly checking it, something is wrong. Right? Either we're trying to control the situation, right? Or we don't trust the other person. And
Mm,
even like we talk about trust in romantic relationships, it goes back to did we have trust in our teenagers, right?
yeah.
Or as teens, were we given trust by our parents,
Right.
right? We have to build that trust, and we cannot build trust constantly checking, constantly.
Yeah. Right, because it feels like it's invalidating. You're
Yeah,
kind of like, yeah, I'm telling you this is where I am and you don't believe me. Or sometimes location tracking also depending on delays and stuff, like during the Verizon outage, like my location went out, so it said I was stuck, in the middle of a highway for hours and hours. You know what I'm saying? And so it's
yeah,
also not always accurate. Like you can't say, well, you're here right now, like what happened? Because like service,
it's
uh goes
it's
out, stuff like that. So it's also like it's a symptom of not trusting.
right, right, and that's really what we start to get to when we talk about this, right? Is because then that comes up, right? So first, it's always safety, right?
Yeah.
And the other question I always love to ask, especially with teens, when we talk about for safety, it's like, all right, well, so how long? We're gonna have tracking for safety.
Right.
How long after your partner doesn't respond to a text message and doesn't answer a phone call do we check their location for safety?
Oh, what did they say?
I've had people say 3 days.
Really?
You're 16 years old. Don't you think after 3 days, your parents would be like,
Yeah. I,
where is this person?
three
I've gotten as
days.
little as 20 minutes
Yeah.
and as big as 3 days.
3 days is like what? That's
Yeah,
a long time.
it's a long time, right? But as teens, like, but anybody, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I was to text my husband right now and he doesn't respond, how long do I wait to check for safety?
Yeah. And also, how do you gauge
How do you gauge
safety?
that? Right,
Yeah.
right. He's at work. He's probably busy,
Yeah.
right? So he's not going to respond. But if that's the first message I'm sending him in the morning, you could see how the mind might spiral. Well, where is he? Why isn't he answering? What,
Yeah.
like Your
Yeah.
mind can kind of take over on that. Same thing with teens, right? If I'm a teen and I text my partner and say, like, how was your day? They should have been home from school by now, and they don't respond.
Yeah.
How long do I wait to check it?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Whereas it could be perfectly innocent. They could be doing their homework. The phone could be dead.
Yeah.
They could be running errands. They could be hanging out with friends. They could be at a sports practice that maybe I forgot about. Like there's plenty of things that they could be doing. And you don't have to be in constant contact
Mm-hmm.
with someone. And I think that's something that we have forgotten as cell phones have become so prominent.
So true.
And especially for younger generations who have always had cell phones, who have always been in constant contact with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
There's this idea that the person needs to respond like that, and you don't. You have a right to be out and be present in the moment and not looking at your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Your phone could still be on silent from being in school and you just didn't hear it. The problem with tracking is then we look at it, right? And then we start questioning, well, why are they here? And why are they here and not responding to me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say I went out for coffee. Well, why are they at Starbucks and they're not texting me back? Who are they with? Right? You
Yeah.
can see how very quickly we could escalate to that point.
Yeah. Breed suspicion.
Yeah, that's what it does. So we talk a lot about trust
Mm-hmm.
with adults and with teens. And does being able to check up on your partner build trust? And it doesn't. It erodes trust, right? Because if I'm questioning, where are you? I don't trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I ask that question of you, well, why were you here? I'm breeding suspicion, right? And so just asking that question builds more suspicion, builds more mistrust in the relationship,
Yeah.
and it starts to kind of whittle away at people. So if I'm constantly, every time you don't respond to me within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever that time period is, I'm then checking to see where you are.
Yeah.
And then I'm questioning you about it, and you have to defend your behavior.
Mm-hmm.
That's eroding the trust in the relationship.
Yeah. What do you think of when somebody checks a location? Let's say they've called or texted their partner, they're not answering, they check their location, they see that they're home, and then they're like, well, why aren't they answering me? They're available, and making these kind of assumptions about their availability based on their location. Like, oh, let me see where they are. Oh, they're home. I'm going to call them, and then getting upset when they don't answer the phone.
So it goes to what is available and what is the individual's right to do their own thing. I mean, we all get guilty of this, right? I know I do it too when I'm like, I just need a question answered, or
Yeah.
like just the
Yeah.
phone, I need to tell you something,
Hmm.
right? And we all kind of get guilty of it a little bit, but
Yeah.
we have to remind ourselves that one, people are not on call 24/7,
Yeah.
right? Unless you are a doctor or I'm trying to think of another profession where you would be on call.
Yeah, right.
You're
Firefighter.
not,
I don't know.
yeah, you don't have to be available to everybody all the time,
Right.
right? And I think when you're having, especially in new relationships, if somebody is making that demand of you, you need to have a conversation about boundaries and
Yeah.
independent time, right? Because it's really important as people for us to have time by ourselves,
Hmm.
right? To have time to do the things that we like to do, what we're passionate about, what we're interested in,
Yeah.
to have time to reflect and to breathe for a little while, right? On our own without somebody making demands on us.
Hmm.
And so it might be, I can understand when somebody's like, but I'm trying to contact you and you're not answering. So maybe having that conversation, that might be a good kind of jumping off point for that conversation about boundaries and about what you need for yourself, right? So if I need an hour or two when I come home from work,
Right.
where it's just me, I don't have any demands, I can relax, I can breathe, I can just decompress, right? That's a good thing to at least inform somebody of,
Hmm.
right? So that way we can understand where each other is at, right?
Hmm.
Because it's also hard, especially in a new relationship, but even older ones, I can see this happening where, okay, but you're home, right? Like answer
Yeah,
me, I
yeah,
want to
yeah,
talk to you, right?
yeah. You're
and
available.
not and not understanding what the other person needs, right? We all
Yeah.
think that people know what we need and what we want, but we
Hmm.
don't.
Yeah.
Right? We as an animal species are really bad at reading other people's minds.
So true.
We think we can do it. We can't. We're really not good at it. Um, so being clear of what you need, right? I need 20 minutes when I come home where nobody talks to me. I'm that person, right? I talk for a living. I'm talking to people
Yeah.
all the time. If I've had a busy day where I've talked to a couple different groups of people, don't talk to me when I come home.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
give me 30 minutes to be in my own thoughts in my own head, to just decompress, and then I'll talk to you. And then I'll be pleasant and happy. I know my partner, when he comes home, he cannot eat dinner right when he comes home, right?
Hmm.
Like it drives him nuts if he walks in the house and dinner is ready, right? Because
Interesting.
yeah, he hates it. He's like, no, I need time to
Yeah, I get that.
rest. Now, not so much of an issue because he works different shift and he's home by like 4. But
Yeah.
when we first were married, he would come home at like 6:30. And
Hmm.
so at that time I wasn't working, so I always had dinner ready. And he was like, I don't want to eat yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's just having that conversation of, hey, when I come home, I like to decompress, right?
Hmm.
I don't want to eat, right? And so now I know that, right? And it's fine. But I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I was of the, like dinner should be ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just getting to know each other and setting those boundaries, right? Not answering the phone after a certain period of time or a certain time at night,
Yeah.
right? Like at 10 o'clock at night, my phone goes on do not disturb, and I'm not going to answer you.
Right.
So yeah, you may check my tracking location and I'm home, but that doesn't mean I'm available to you. That means I'm decompressing from the day and going to bed. If I can
Right.
get it.
I think people find that almost like offensive somehow. It's like, well, you don't want to talk to me? Like, why don't you want to talk to me when, we're both busy and this is our only time to talk or something like that? Or there is this almost entitlement to people's time sometimes based on
Yeah.
like location. Well, you're home, like what's the problem? Like why can't you talk to me? And I think that's just interesting.
Yeah. So we don't owe our time to anybody,
Yeah.
and we have to choose how we want to spend our time. And it's one of those things that really it does help if we kind of decide that before we get into a relationship. What does my time kind of look like, and
Right.
how do I want that shared with other people, and set that boundary early in the relationship.
Hmm.
That's an expectation, right? Like I don't answer my phone after this time. If that's a problem for you, then we need to talk about it, or maybe
Right.
this isn't going to work. And setting those boundaries early. And then as the relationship progresses, you can always open that up.
Hmm.
But if I'm always answering my phone for the first 6 months of the relationship,
Yeah.
and then I try to close that up,
Uh-huh.
it's going to cause issues. Right?
Right.
It's going to be, you can still do it, and I still recommend doing it, but it's going to be harder, right?
Hmm.
It's going to bring up feelings, and it might even bring up feelings of mistrust
Yeah.
or insecurity in the relationship if I've always been open and now I'm closing it up.
Hmm.
Better to start off kind of setting those rules and then open it up.
You mentioned something a little bit earlier about the length of time in a relationship and how that
Mhm.
relates to location sharing.
Yeah.
So what's the difference if somebody asks for your location after a couple months or right away versus maybe years into the relationship?
So if they're asking for it right away, why are they asking for it right away?
Yeah.
Right? What is the reasoning behind it?
What if it's
Right?
just because, oh, everyone does it. It's normal.
I don't want to do it. Right? Because it's not normal.
Yeah.
Right? This is something that we've normalized because
Mhm.
it's new technology and we're able to do it.
Mhm.
But just because it's been normalized doesn't mean that it's normal or that it's safe.
Right.
Right? And so what I'd like to say with tracking is that you really need to trust the partner on a very deep level if you're going to have tracking with them, right?
Right.
Because you need to trust how they're going to use it,
Mm-hmm.
what they're using it for.
Right.
And in a new relationship, we don't have that trust yet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to have tracking, especially like as we age, right? So maybe in our 20s, we don't want our parents tracking us anymore all the time, right? But tracking is useful and it is useful for
Yeah.
safety,
Yeah.
right? There
Yeah.
are a lot of good uses for it. So if I'm going to have tracking with somebody, I need to really trust that they are going to use that tracking for what we have established it for,
Right.
right? And so better to have it with like a really close friend,
Mm-hmm.
trusted sibling, something like that, where I really trust that this person is not going to abuse it,
Yeah.
than a new partner who I'm getting to know and starting to build trust with.
Mm.
Let's build that trust. Let's date for a while. Let's have, that ongoing relationship and understanding and kind of getting to know each other
Yeah.
before we bring tracking into it.
Mm-hmm.
And to really get to know somebody, you need to know them for a while, not just a few weeks or a few months.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend in high school that he used to always say, when you date somebody, you're not dating them, you're dating their representative.
Ooh, that's
And
good.
it has stuck with me since high school.
Yeah.
And he's so right. The first few months of a relationship,
Mhm.
even 6 months in,
Yeah.
you're not dating the real person. You're dating their representative. We as humans can hide a lot of quirks
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
long period of time for people,
Fascinating.
right? And so you really want to make sure that you're getting to know this person on all the different levels. And for the most part, that takes months to a
Right.
year, right? To really get to know all of those different things. Because, like I said, we can hide a lot of stuff for a
Yeah.
long period of time. So don't start off with tracking with somebody. Have it with a trusted friend, trusted family member, something like that. If you want to have it for safety, I do think it's good for safety.
Yeah.
It has its purpose. Let's build trust in the relationship first. Yeah, there are certain apps that you can also turn it on from time to time because sometimes it's useful. Like if I say, "Hey, I'm on my way to come get you,"
Yes. Yeah.
it's useful to see it.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of phones nowadays, you can turn that on.
Yeah. True.
Like when you
Yeah.
send the message on my way, it'll say, like on the Google phones or anyway on Androids, it'll say, "Do you want to share location?" Sometimes
Yes. Yeah.
you can turn it on for a short period of time,
Yeah. Or a
and then it
couple hours on
automatically goes away.
iPhone. Yeah.
Huh?
On iPhone, you can do it like share location for 24 hours or something like that. So if you're like going to a festival with your friends or something, and you need to know where they are, like sometimes that's really helpful because it's like, oh, okay, she's on this street, I'm gonna get there. And that then expires after a certain amount of time.
Yeah, and you don't have to remember to turn it off,
Yes. Yep.
right? So it's really helpful in those situations. Sure, turn it on for 24 hours and then it goes away. Because the other problem is then what if we break up?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if we break up, is the first thing I'm going to think about turning off my location?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Probably not,
Mm-hmm.
right? Unless the reason we're breaking up is over the tracking,
Right. True.
it's probably not prominent in our minds
Yeah.
of that thing I need to turn off. And unfortunately, we have seen it used to harm people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so better to wait a couple months, even a year or so into the relationship before
Yeah.
we start bringing up tracking.
Mm-hmm. So when you think about that and a partner asks to track your location, are there any signs people could look out for that they might be doing it with an intention that isn't innocent or just to have it for whatever reason? Are there some things that accompany that ask that people could start to identify, like maybe they want it for a reason that's more about control and knowing where I am and surveillance rather than, I just want to know where you are just I don't know, to make sure the house is clean at some point or like, whatever, like a
Yeah.
surprise, like stuff like that.
One, are they already texting and calling a lot?
Okay.
Right? Are they already having that need to be in constant contact?
Mm.
Right? Are they questioning you about where you're going and what you're doing, what your schedule is? Right? Um, why aren't you answering the phone when I call? things like that. So are they already kind of showing that tendency to constantly need to know what you're doing and where you are?
Mm-hmm.
Um, are they showing controlling behaviors in other ways? Right? Are they needing to know who you're hanging out with, who you're spending your time with? Um, or are they love bombing where they're constantly wanting to be with you
Right.
all the time? Right? Those could be signs already that there's already some controlling behavior going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least some insecurity and some jealousy issues going on,
Yeah.
right? So at the worst, we have power and control. At the least, we have some insecurity issues.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And all of those should be a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, hey, I'm noticing you're wanting to be with me all the time. I can't do that. Right. If that's what you're looking for, then I'm not the person for you. And not just when I'm at work. Yeah, at work, I can't be answering my phone all the time because I don't want to get fired.
Yeah.
At home, I'm doing stuff and that's distracting to me.
Yeah.
Right. Let's say I am cleaning the house. Well, if I'm cleaning the house and have to constantly be answering messages,
Yeah.
it's going to take me twice as long to clean the house.
So true.
Right? And I don't want to do that. I
Yeah.
don't want to have to do that. Right. So setting those boundaries early.
Yeah.
But then if they're still doing that and then they want to also have tracking,
Right.
we're probably using it more for control at that
Mm-hmm.
point.
Definitely. What are some signs in a healthy relationship that you might be okay with sharing your location? Maybe they've asked, what are the signs people can look out for? Like, okay, like this seems like it's not rooted in control. Obviously, you can't always 100% tell, but are there some giveaways that this is coming from a genuine place or a place that isn't about tracking?
In the past, have you been able to go out with your friends and have a fun night
Yes.
and they're not pestering you the whole time? Right?
Right.
Like, am I able to say, hey, I'm going out with my girlfriends tonight, and they don't text
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
call, right? Because they know that you're doing something that you want to be doing. Have you set boundaries and have they respected those boundaries?
Yes.
So if I've said, hey, I don't answer my phone after 10 o'clock at night, and they don't call after 10 o'clock at night unless there's an emergency, right? Like
Right.
emergency. And
Yeah.
it's a true emergency.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Right.
not an emergency of, oh, I had a bad dream and need to talk to you.
Yeah.
It's an
Yeah.
emergency of like, I need to go to the hospital, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
are they respecting that boundary that you've set with them? Right? Are they respecting the, hey, when I'm at work, don't bother me. Right? I'm
Right.
at work. Right. Um, so are they respecting my boundaries? Are they trusting when I say I'm doing stuff? They're not questioning me about it, right? If questions do come up, because, an honest question would be if I say I'm going out with my girlfriends and we're going into the city, and so you decide to go out with your friends and you're in Morristown and you see me,
Yeah.
like, that's an honest question, right?
Yeah.
Like,
What are you doing here?
I thought you were going to the city, right? But and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Like, or if you question them with something like that, they don't get mad. They're like, "Oh yeah, plans changed. I was gonna text you, but then I got sidetracked,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
or whatever, right? Like
Hmm.
plans change, things
Yeah.
happen, right? We all understand that. The train was late. We decided we didn't want to wait for the train, and
Yeah.
we decided, hey, there's good bars in Morristown. Let's just go out there, right? Are they respecting that? Are they understanding that? When things of trust come up, do they talk to me about it,
Right.
or do they accuse me of something? Right? So that
Mm.
same situation, right? I was supposed to go to New York. I'm in Morristown. I didn't let them know. Did they come up to me and immediately like, what the hell are you doing here? And who are you with? And what are you doing? Or did they say, oh, did something fall through? Did something happen? Like,
Right.
you okay? Everything all right?
Yeah.
Those types of questions, right? There's a different way of asking something.
Right.
Are
Yeah.
we immediately going to the bad, to the questioning my trust or questioning my loyalty to the relationship?
Hmm.
Or do we go to, you okay?
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
something happen?
Yeah. Do you
Right?
think that this is New York?
Yeah. Did you get lost? Take a wrong turn in Albuquerque? Like, what happened here? Right? So how are they questioning it? Right?
Right.
What's coming up for that person? Um, what is the context of them asking for tracking,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
right? Why is it coming up now? Did something happen? Did we have an argument? Are we feeling insecure in the relationship? Like what? Or is it just, hey, we're moving in together. Let's have tracking,
Yeah.
now that we're living together, so I know when you're coming home, right?
Yes.
Or um, let's, like a bad thing did happen. Maybe I was out in the city and I got mugged and that was scary.
Yeah.
And so we bring up, well, what if we had tracking? Or who does have tracking on you?
Yeah.
If there was an emergency situation, does someone have tracking on you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So it could even be starting the conversation that way. So let's say I'm in the relationship, I've decided I want to bring up tracking, right? We've been together for a year and a half. We're talking about getting married or moving in together. Um, I think tracking would be a good idea so that we have that safety. Let's talk about it, right?
Mhm.
How do you feel about it? Instead of coming to the person and saying, I think we need tracking, it could be a conversation of, how do you feel about tracking each
Yeah.
other?
Yeah.
How do you feel about having something like Life 360 or Find My Friends,
Mm-hmm.
and what that would look like?
Mm-hmm.
When would and part of that discussion then would be, how and when are we going to use it?
Yeah.
Why are we having it?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If we notice something that gives us pause or gives us concern, how are we going to talk to each other about it? And how are we going to take it away if we decide we don't like it?
That's the tricky part.
Right. Because once you have it, it's pretty much there until the relationship ends.
Because it feels like it sends a message of like, oh, you're hiding something. Why would you turn
Yeah.
it off now? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like all of a sudden you have a problem with it and it
Yeah.
opens the door to just a bad situation.
And it could be very innocent things that people want to turn it off for.
Yeah.
I know somebody recently who was getting engaged
Yeah.
and their partner had tracking on them, but they didn't want them to see that they were going to the jewelry store,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because they didn't want them to know that
Uh-huh.
they were buying the ring.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, how do you turn that off?
I've actually done this before because I've wanted to get gifts for people and I haven't wanted them to know where I am. And now this is an important thing on iPhone. It just tells you at the top of your chat. So like I could be texting my friend and I'm like, why is my friend in Washington right now? So
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
it's at the top of the text at all times. So like it almost prompts you to look. So even if you're not even directly looking for iPhone, it puts it right
Yeah.
there. So like
Oh,
for
wow.
me, it's pretty, yeah. So like it's very, you always have eyes on people. So you notice, oh, usually at Thursdays at 10, they're at school or they're at work, but now it's saying they're down in Montclair. Like, why are they there? And I think it inherently makes you check your location. But I've actually turned off location services in general, because then it just loads like this. And like if I'm stopping
Okay.
at like a bakery or like to get a gift for someone and I'm like getting in real quick or like pick up Starbucks or something to bring home, I'll like literally turn off full location services and then turn it back on. But I don't think it doesn't notify anybody because your whole location services is off.
Yeah.
But that is not something you can do forever because then you can't have access to GPS or anything like that. And like, so it's not a
Yeah.
solution, but it's really hard because location tracking has become so embedded in our society. I have so many of my friends' locations, like it's
Yeah.
just what it is. And like I said, it's at the top of the chat, so we all know where they are at literally all times.
Yeah.
But there is one question that kind of came up while I was researching this topic, and is wanting to have your partner's location controlling? Is that in and of itself controlling?
I think there are people in this realm that would say yes.
Right.
I personally do not think it is.
Right.
Right? I think the reason we want to have it is what leads to controlling behavior,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
I don't see a problem with people who are in a committed relationship having tracking on each other,
Yeah.
especially if they're, I mean, now, If the other person doesn't know about it, no, that's
Right.
controlling.
Yes,
Right?
yes. Yeah.
It has to be agreed upon,
Yeah.
right? And
Consensual.
then it goes back to how are we using it? And what do we do if the person turns it off?
Right.
Right? So I can use from my own experience. My husband and I, we do have it,
Yeah.
but if he turns it off, I
Hmm.
don't care. Like, okay, he turned it off for whatever reason, right? Because I trust him. I know he's not doing anything. I
Mm-hmm.
know probably at most he's buying me a present. You know, presents. But really, I trust him.
Yeah.
So it's not an issue. I have it on my parents because they're older, right?
Yeah.
So I know where they are. Say, and that goes to safety, right? Like,
Yeah.
say, okay, is everything all right? Again, they know I have it.
Yeah.
You also know they can turn it off. Right? I
Yeah.
think my dad's has been off for months.
And
Turns it
also
off, let's turn it
you're
back on.
you're old enough to do something if there is an issue. You know,
Right.
you're not 14. Like you're
I'm not
able to be
14.
like, Dad hasn't answered in, I don't know, 32 hours and I'm a little worried. Like I'm gonna drive
Yeah.
over there, make sure, he's just forgot to charge his phone or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's something you can actually do that's actionable, or I'm gonna do a wellness check or call the police or something. Like those are things that make sense. But if you're young and you're just constantly looking at it and you have no means to act on it, what is that beyond surveillance?
Right. And when we're young, again, the brain isn't fully developed, right? So we're going to those instant gratifications, those instant
Yeah.
reward or confirmation that something is happening or whatever the reason,
Yeah.
right? But we're not thinking it through,
Right.
right? So when we have it when we're so young, it's really embedding those behaviors.
Yeah.
That we need that instant knowledge of what the person is doing. We need instant conversation with that person. We need instant connection. And when we don't get it, something is wrong,
Right.
right? And
Right.
it's reinforcing that. When, as older adults, hopefully we can logically think through it of going, all right, if they're not answering right now, it's because they're busy. They're
Right.
doing something. Or
Right.
their phone is on silent and they
Yeah.
completely forgot that it's on silent and
Yeah.
they will call me back when they look at their phone and see that they missed 3 calls from me.
Yeah.
Right? But we have more of ability to rationalize that.
Right.
Teens don't have that.
Right.
Right?
Definitely.
And the more we use tracking, the more we're going to lose that ability, even as adults, to kind of be able to talk ourselves out of it and be like, all right, this is normal. Right?
Hmm.
Because the more we have instant gratification, the
Yeah.
more we want instant gratification.
Yeah. You're like training your mind to look for that, you
Yeah.
know? And it's interesting though, because I do think because it's become so normal that a lot of people think that refusing to share your location is a bad sign. And what
Yeah.
would you say to someone who thinks, well, I have 10 people's location, like my partner refusing to share their location, like that feels like a red flag to me.
So again, it's do I trust this person?
Yeah.
Right. And not wanting to share our location doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing something we shouldn't be doing.
Hmm.
Right. It could be I value my privacy.
Yeah.
It could be I don't want people constantly being able to be in contact with me.
Yeah.
I want to have my independence.
Mhm.
Right. And that's okay.
In this day and age, we've forgotten that people could have personal preferences about their own privacy, actions, and like the way they move in the world.
Yeah. And people do have that. Like, think about other ways that we have privacy,
Yeah.
right? Some people have locks on their phone, some
Yeah.
people don't,
Yeah.
right? Some people don't want you answering their phone.
Yeah.
People don't care if
Yeah.
you answer their phone.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that either one is doing something wrong.
Right.
It just means that's my level of privacy. That's where I'm comfortable. To get to even like more blatant ones, some people will change with the door open. Some people don't,
Yeah.
right? Some people will go to the bathroom with the door
Yeah.
open. Some people don't, right?
Yeah. It's just
There's
different.
nothing wrong with that. It's just whatever that person is comfortable with,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Same thing with tracking. Some people are comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Some people are like, I don't care who knows where I am. I'm an
Yeah.
open book,
Yeah.
whatever,
It's
right?
kind of how I am.
Yeah. Other people don't want somebody having that information. I should be able to go off the grid if I want to go off the grid,
Yes. And
right?
also, some people might have a past where they've had a stalker or somebody that they don't want having their location. So, basic fact of somebody having your location at all times is nerve-wracking, and they
Yeah,
don't want that
me
because they
too.
don't want to feel ever again like they're being watched. But I do feel there's such an expectation on location sharing. I feel it's always that default is that it goes to cheating. Would you
It goes
agree?
to cheating right away,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're not doing this, you're cheating on me. And the problem is a lot of people just like past trauma with stalkers, a lot of people have past trauma with cheating,
Yeah.
right? Either their
Right.
own or they've had a friend that was cheated on, or maybe their parents are divorced because of cheating or
Right.
whatever the reason, right? Like a lot of people have trauma with cheating, right? And that's what it goes to. So then it could be if I don't want to have tracking, right? It's like understanding where the other person is coming from. Like, hey, I get that this is a hard thing for you.
Yeah.
What else could we do to build trust? Right? What else would help you feel comfortable? I'm not comfortable with tracking.
Yeah.
You're feeling uncomfortable or insecure in the relationship because of your history. What could we do to make each other feel comfortable? But also, there are certain things, and we have to decide this for ourselves of these are no-goes for me. These are things that I am just not comfortable with. And then if that comes up in the relationship, we have to be strong enough to say, look, I'm sorry, you're a great person, but this isn't going to work for me.
Right. Yes. Hmm.
Go back to like there are people that are great. The relationship looks great on paper, but it just doesn't work for whatever reason.
Practice. Hmm.
Because there's a lot of things we can compromise on, but if we're not comfortable with tracking, the other person's not comfortable with not having tracking, that's gonna be a hard one
Yeah.
to get past. You might be able to. Some
Yeah.
couples can, but knowing ourselves and where we're at, the more we push it, right? If the other person's not comfortable with tracking and we push it, that's going to cause an issue. And so maybe the person might give in and maybe it seems great for a while, but it's going to cause tension.
Do you think that location tracking is considered stalking?
So I think that goes to how are we using it? How
Yeah.
often are we using it? How are we checking it? What are we doing with that information?
Right.
Right. So if we're checking it constantly, and by constantly, I mean like daily, right?
Right.
Constantly doesn't even need to be every few minutes. We're
Ooh,
checking it daily,
right.
right?
Right.
Why do I need to check where my partner is daily? Right. So when am I using it? How often am I using it? Why am I using it? What is going through my head when I go to check it? Is it, oh, are they almost home from work? Right. So that way I know, like, oh, they're almost here or something.
Yeah.
Or is it, are they going somewhere else?
Yeah.
What are they doing? Who are they talking to? Right. What is going through my head as I'm doing it? And then what am I doing with that information? Am I using it as a tally? You went to Starbucks 6 times this week. You flirting with the barista? Like what am I doing with that information?
Right.
Even you went to Starbucks 6 times this week. How much of our money are you spending on the Starbucks? Right? Because that goes to financial control.
Financial control. Hmm.
I'm a grown person. If I think I can afford to spend, $5 a day at Starbucks, then I can spend $5 a day at Starbucks. Right? That's my choice.
Yeah.
So, what are they using the information for? And then how are they talking to me about that information? Is it accusatory?
Hmm.
Or is it, oh, I noticed this, right? Like what's going on there? If we're checking it even daily, that's stalkerish behavior, right? I'm not saying necessarily that you're doing something bad with it,
Right.
but that's stalking behavior.
Yeah.
There's no reason to check where your partner is
Yeah.
on a daily basis.
It's literally called surveillance. Like I did an episode last year with a member from the Stalking Prevention Awareness and Resource Center, and she talked a lot about surveillance, which I'll link in the description, but how that is literally looking at someone's location constantly. And also then if you look at someone's location and then you happen to like run into them, but you think it's like innocent, but it's like, oh, they're like at the bookstore. Like I'm gonna go to the bookstore. That you can kind of see it starts like, I'm just gonna see where they are. You don't even mean to start stalking another person.
People think stalking like, oh, I would never do that,
I know.
right? Or constantly questioning, oh, I would never do that.
Yeah.
but it very, very quickly can become that.
And that's what people don't realize because you're telling me, right? Like if you're, I don't know, 22 or something, or any age really, and like your partner's not responding, you find out they're at a random house and you can't make the jump between, oh, maybe I'll just drive by. That is never something that we would expect ever to happen. But it escalates to that point. You're right. People think, oh, well, I would never be that creepy. I'm not going to break into somebody's house and follow their movements. But seeing someone's location, driving by, you're
Yeah.
surveilling them. That's an element of stalking. And that is what's so dangerous about location sharing is because it could so quickly escalate to making moves that you yourself probably would never even think to make if you didn't have that. It's a slippery slope that you
Yeah.
just go
Who
down.
are they sitting with at the coffee shop? Who are they? Who else is in that house?
Yeah, I don't
What else is
recognize
going
that person. And then
Yeah.
you're looking that person up and then it's more surveillance. So it just
Yeah.
it's like a Mento in a Coke thing and it just explodes if you're not careful and if you don't have good boundaries around using location. Yeah.
Boundaries for yourself,
Yeah.
right? This
Yeah.
isn't boundaries that we're putting on other people. This is boundaries for ourselves.
Exactly. Like you could also have someone's location, but you're not going to check it or you're only going to check it to see like, oh, like, they're supposed to come over for dinner. Okay, they haven't left work yet. I'm not going to start making dinner. Like I haven't heard from them. It's really using it in moderation, not using it constantly. And like the intensity also, I feel like of the urge is something to be aware of. Like if you have to know where someone is, that's probably a red flag. If you're just kind of like, oh, like I wonder, like, are they almost here? And it's not as urgent, that feels like more of a green flag.
What is my questioning to myself? What is the urge? What is that voice in my head telling me
Yeah,
when I feel that compulsion to look to see where they are?
exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And then again, what am I doing with that information?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So if it's that we're meeting up to go out to dinner, but they were going to a movie first, I'm just seeing if they're still at the movie or do I need
Yeah.
to head out?
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. Yep.
But if it's I haven't heard from them all day. I look up, I see they're at the movie theater. Well, who are you at the movies with?
Yeah.
Tracking again will erode the trust in the relationship. We think we want it because it'll build
Yeah.
trust. It doesn't. There's a couple questions we want to ask ourselves
Yeah.
before even bringing up the topic of
Yeah.
tracking to the other
Yeah.
person. And part of that is how will it impact the trust in my relationship? Right? Why am I asking for it?
Uh-huh.
What impact is it going to have? When will I be checking it? How often will I be checking it? And what am I going to do with the information when I check it? And what will it mean to me if this person says no? And we need to ask all of those things of ourselves before we even bring it up. Once we bring it up with the other person, then it's the how and when are we going to use it? How are we going to talk about it if we feel uncomfortable with it? And what are we going to do if we decide we don't want to have it?
And how to approach that.
How do we broach that? How do we backpedal? And those are hard conversations, particularly in the beginning of a relationship.
Absolutely.
Once you've built trust with that person, once you've built mutual respect with that person, as you've gotten to know that person and how they handle situations, that's going to be an easier conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Still going to be a hard one. Still not going to be an easy conversation. But at least I know how this person reacts to different things. I know I can talk to them about it, right? Like I can. The other thing I was thinking about with, when to bring it up and to talk about it is, does the person have tracking on somebody else? And how have they been using it with that person?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like, do they have tracking with friends or with family, parents, something else?
Yeah.
And how are they using it?
Yeah. Is it healthy? Is it
Yeah.
non-urgent? Yeah.
Right. And that can kind of also gauge,
Yeah.
do I want them to have tracking on me?
That's a really good point because even some people are really intense about tracking their friends.
Yeah.
And you can see that where it's like, well, what are they doing hanging out with Jonathan today? And they're just aware.
Or, oh, these three people are together and they didn't invite me.
Yes. Yes. That's a big one. Yep.
Yeah. Especially
Yep.
amongst friends, right?
Yeah.
And so how are they using it with their friends? What are they doing with that information?
I think also if you kind of ask yourself internally, like, why am I doing this? You'll have the answer. It's not your partner didn't respond for 12 minutes while they left work at 5 o'clock. Are you really worried something happened to them in the parking lot? You know what I mean?
Yeah, why am I asking for this information? And being honest with ourselves. And if it comes down to trust, then what is it about this person that I don't trust? Or is it, am I bringing in stuff from past relationship?
Mhm.
Right? And how else could I build trust with this person?
Yeah.
Right? Or if I'm bringing in stuff from a past relationship, well, what can I do to help that? Or what can we do together as a couple to help that? Right? Because there are things that we could do, right? We can have some understanding of how we talk about people or what we do. But if I'm bringing in stuff from a past relationship, that typically is stuff that I need to work on within me. Somebody else cannot fix the hurts of the past. Only I can fix that. I can't rely on my new partner to fix what my old partner did.
I always learn so much when Mary Jane is on our podcast. Location sharing has become so ingrained in our society, and it can be done in a healthy way. You just have to be aware of why you're asking for someone's location and ensure that you aren't constantly checking it. As always, if you're in an unhealthy relationship, please reach out for help. Resources are linked in the description and at the end of this episode. No one deserves abuse. Thank you for listening to Unsilenced. Please tune in next time to learn more about all facets of abuse because education is the first step in ending domestic violence. Thank you for listening to this episode of Unsilenced, Real Conversations about Abuse. This podcast is produced by JBWS, a domestic violence agency that serves both Morris and Passaic County, New Jersey. If you would like a certain topic covered on the podcast, then please send an email to podcast@jbws.org. We are always striving to provide content that will be both educational and helpful to our listeners. But please note that this email is only intended for content relating to the podcast. It is not meant to offer immediate assistance or any access to services. If you live or work in either Morris or Passaic County, New Jersey, and think you might be in an unhealthy relationship, then JBWS is here to help you. Please visit jbws.org/services to learn more about programs for support or call our 24-hour helpline to speak to a member of our staff at 1-877-782-2873. If you're listening to this podcast and recognize controlling or unhealthy behaviors in yourself, then JBWS can also help you to change those behaviors. Through our Jersey Center for Nonviolence, JBWS offers programs for men, women, and teens who have used abusive or controlling behaviors. Please visit jbws.org/JCNV or call 973-539-7801 to learn how you can stop the cycle of violence. If you don't live in either Passaic or Morris County, then please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Since domestic violence grows in silence, you are helping us break the stigma associated with domestic violence and supporting our efforts to unsilence those impacted by abuse. Please be sure to subscribe to Unsilenced, Real Conversations about Abuse wherever you get your podcasts, and follow JBWS on social media to get as many people talking about abuse as possible. Thank you so much for listening and helping us to break the silence around domestic violence.